In most states across America, local elections are held in even years when we vote for state and federal candidates. This means you might be voting for your local city council member while also choosing the next president of the United States. But that isn't the case for Charlotteans. In Charlotte, local elections are held in odd years. So why is ours different? How did it happen? And does it affect the way you vote? Welcome to QCIQ City Elections. As North Carolina towns were first established, founding members had to create a town charter. A charter is a document that grants and defines authorities, rights, and privileges. In these charters, the founders would decide when elections would happen. Most of the time, residents voted whenever they felt an election should be held. Meaning, if residents wanted something to change, that municipality would call for an election, they'd vote, and that was that. Centuries went by with this loose system in place, until 1971. That year, the North Carolina legislature decided to move all nonpartisan elections to odd years, starting in 1973. This is called an off-cycle. But when you read the law, it never actually indicated why the move was made in the first place. Many experts say they believe this was for two reasons. One, lawmakers didn't want specific groups of people to vote. Those specific groups tended to be minorities, specifically Black people who just earned the right to vote in the Voting Rights Act a little more than 5 years earlier. The second reason, lawmakers did not want nonpartisan elections to be associated with partisan ones. At the time the legislature was discussing this, many people believed partisan voting was tainted and immoral because of the fighting between parties. Partisan voting means party labels, like Democrat or Republican, show up on the ballot underneath the candidate's name. Let's talk about this for a second. When you go into the voting booth, there's a party label underneath mayor or city council's name that indicates Democrat or Republican. Charlotte is one of the select few North Carolina municipalities that technically has a partisan vote during nonpartisan elections. This means Charlotteans vote in primaries, usually in September, then vote for a Democrat or Republican candidate in November. A primary is an election that political parties use to determine who will be their candidate in the general elections. This means candidates from the same party run against each other so you can select one person who will represent the party. Then, whoever gets chosen for each party goes against each other in the general election. So for the last 50 years, we've been voting in the odd number years. While this doesn't affect how people vote, they still show up to their polling locations and make their selections. It does seem to affect how often people vote. On average, over the last 5 off-year election cycles, voting turnout is around 15%. Compare that to the 71% average turnout in presidential even years and 45% in midterms, the even years when a president is not chosen. Other than when we're actually voting, casting your ballot in an odd year versus an even year isn't any different. There's still a primary months in advance. Voting registration is open and available before Election Day, and you can still vote by mail, participate in early voting, or save your vote until Election Day. For all voting information and to check your sample ballot, visit the North Carolina State Board of Elections website at ncsbe.gov. We encourage all residents to go out and vote in the odd years to make a difference in your communities.